Everybody, welcome to another episode of Something Something with Eric Newman. We are here in Times Square on this rainy day. My new special, Almost Engaged, just came out on my YouTube channel, so please check it out. Yeah, that one is about my almost fiance, who has been mentioned many, many, many times throughout the course of these first batch of episodes. Today, we are covering an exciting topic of your exes. I want to discuss this in length, the idea of how to handle the post-breakup situation with an ex. I think the first thing to naturally talk about, first of all, I just want to say, I know a lot. This is a different case with a lot of people. Personally, I have my ex who I dated for 8 years, and I have my almost fiance, none of whom I speak with on any. Well, I don't speak with my almost fiance at all, and I speak to my ex of 8 years on birthdays. We exchange happy birthday and then catch up for a few minutes. We're finally in a place where, after maybe 4 years, we're able to do that. This year, when I wished her happy birthday, was actually the first time that that her and I had caught up, had like a real proper catch up. In the past, I think the first couple of years, we just sort of said, happy birthday, hope you're well. But this year, we actually caught up for, 20, 30 minutes on text. And, she, I just told her what's going on in my life and what I'm working on. And, she's very happily married with an adorable baby girl. And she was just sort of giving me updates on that and sort of like what's going on with her family. And it was nice to hear. It really, on a human level, it was just really nice to exchange information about what's going on in our lives. Because that's the thing, with relationships, you make so many memories with this people. And then the idea of it just being really bad blood and not being able to have a catch up or a conversation, just that the idea of that kind of, is kind of sad. And I know it's often the case in breakups. Like I said, my almost fiance and I, she was almost my fiance. So, we were planning on spending the rest of our lives together. And now, this year we didn't wish each other happy birthday. So, I mean, there is a sadness to that, to be that close with a person and then have no contact or just it's not even cordial. It's way worse than cordial. So I think I mentioned in the episode with, the one where I talked about like social media unfollowing. Like if somebody unfollows me, I'll block them because I just don't want to, if you want to be out of my life, be out of my life. And I don't want them to have the ability to like my almost fiance, she said, oh, I'm unfollowing you. And then she would often watch my stories. And I was like, what are you doing? So my new rule going forward was, if I'm seeing someone and it ends and they unfollow me for whatever reason, then I block them because I just don't want them. If you've already made the statement to me, I don't want you in my life, then just don't be in my life. It's not like a game playing thing. Just, Anyway, I was watching the Knicks. It was actually the closeout game of last series versus Boston. The Knicks beat Boston in the second round of the NBA playoffs. And a very exciting time for New York fans. And for Knicks fans specifically, like me, a diehard of 25 years. And I was at a bar next to the Comedy Cellar watching it, and the Knicks won, and I was going crazy. And I saw this girl sort of walking out of the darkness. It was dark in there, with a Knicks hat on. She was saying hi, and I was like, who is that? And then it turned out to be the girl who broke up with me because I had a cold sore. And I called her out on it right away. I was just like, hey, I thought we were cool. You broke up with me, and then you unfollowed me. That's against the rules. If you break up with me on your own accord for something I didn't really do, I mean, I guess something I did may have caused me to eventually get the cold sore, and you could indirectly maybe I did something. But if I didn't do anything to fuck you over or whatever, and you're the one who decides to break up with me, don't unfollow, mute me. Again, like I said in a previous episode, you don't have to make that harsh of a statement. You could just not see my. So then I asked her about it. I confronted her. I go, why'd you unfollow me? And she's like, you were just posting a lot of stuff about dating and dating videos, and it just it was hard for me to see. I was like, I totally understand that, but just mute me. So then she goes, well, you blocked me. I go, fine. So anyway, I ended up messaging her and telling her hey, unblocked. And And she gave me a couple smiley face emojis, and then I'm like, yeah, and next time you don't want to see my videos, just mute me. And she like laughed or whatever. And I think we're good. But that's my whole point, is like, it's nice not to have bad blood. Like, you did have memories, even though the memories were only like 2 months worth of memories with this girl. Like, it is a portion of my life. And like, so it is nice to not have to, it's nice to just have like a cordial, good, like, relationship, even if that relationship doesn't involve talking or whatever. Like, it's just nice to have like a good energy about the two of you. So anyway, all that to be said, that my ex of 8 years and I had like a 30-minute text conversation, and it was very nice and pleasant. At the end, I'm like, she's like, well, nice catching up. I'm glad everything's going well. It's nice to hear all the things you're doing. I said, you too. I'm glad your family's doing well. And then she goes, oh, and one more thing. I was like, yep. And she goes, I heard your ex is a lesbian, loser. And I go, that is fucking hilarious. And like, I got to take the hits from her. Like, I'm willing to be a little bit of a punching bag because of sort of how everything played out in our relationship and how I felt like I, mistreated her and whatever. Like, you get to throw those at me every once in a while, and I'll laugh them off. And anyway, I just thought it was really funny. All this to sort of set up the premise of this episode, which is, staying friends with exes, getting back together with exes. So getting back together with exes is obviously a very complicated issue, and like there's a million reasons why two people don't work out. It's so hard to say, and it's on such a case by case basis. I don't like the point of view of like don't go back in the past. We're moving forward with our lives. We're not going back. And it's like, I to a large measure, I agree with that. But I think the ultimate advice would just be, see where things fit with where you are today. I think that would be my ultimate piece of advice. It's like, if you had this long, tumultuous, drawn out, maybe even toxic, probably toxic, relationship that dragged on for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, or even a year or 2 years, like, and you were on and off or whatever happened, and maybe there was cheating and maybe there wasn't, but maybe the communication was bad, and whatever reason you guys didn't last, learn from it, grow from it, and then if there's a time 3 years from then that you happen to reconnect with that person by running into them or somebody reaches out or whatever, honestly assess where you are, where you believe they are, and whether that is a fit today. I'm not saying that you can't date somebody in college, they end up cheating on you, you're heartbroken, you guys have a horrible breakup, and then 5 years from now, it can't work out. I'm not saying it can't work out. It can work out. I don't think it's the best foot to start on again, because now there's like the issues of like distrust and all that shit. But I don't think it's impossible. And I think you just have to assess that person in that situation in that particular time. The problem with a lot of like revisiting exes is oftentimes the reasons or majority of reasons for the reconnection is a sense of loneliness, a sense of needing validation, a sense of missing that person, a sense of like, I haven't had sex in a while and like I feel safer with them or whatever, or I don't have to get my body count up or whatever. All of those reasons are bad reasons, because those are reasons that are coming from a place of like neediness and like desperation and like trying to like fill a hole or something. Like, and that's why a lot of people have this stigma of like, don't get back with exes, because what they're largely talking about are those situations, which I think are the majority of cases where exes reconnect, where it's like based on one of those like desperate reasons, as opposed to like, okay, but there could be somebody that it was just like the wrong time and one of you fucked each other over, or both of you fucked each other over, or nobody fucked each other over and it was just like bad timing for whatever reason, logistically it didn't work out. And then 6 years into the future, it works and it's good and it feels right. So I'm not discounting any of those situations. Fine. So I just know, like, personally for me, that the people that I have fallen in love with and have seriously dated are probably not the people that I'm going to end up with. But that doesn't mean that they weren't like really meaningful or right at the time or whatever it was. Now, the more complicated issue, and I think kind of like stems from this original issue, is the, you know, like getting back together or not getting back together is a little more black and white. The gray of it all is like the keeping in touch, the friendship, the still being in each other's lives. Which I actually thought of this the other day, Zoran, where I was like, this is a thought I had about this podcast where I'm like, you know, it's like there's Republicans and there's Democrats, and like we have to vote on one candidate, and then like the Libertarian candidate gets like 0.1% of the votes or whatever, and actually like a lot of it is like middle ground and in between, and it should get more, and you'd think like, okay, this is a good compromise between both parties, but it never works out. I would like to be the libertarian dating person that actually gets some traction. Libertarian dating advice, because I wanna get to a place, because we have all these like we talked about, like how I'm very like anti Andrew Tate, right? Like I'm like, fuck, I don't like this guy. I'm like, some of his views I agree with, but like I just hate the way he presents himself or whatever. So I'm like, I don't like that guy. And then like feminism, like these feminist podcasts, I'm just like, all right, like you don't even like you don't even, most of the feminists, like the real like intense feminist podcasts that I've heard clips of, I'm like, I hope this is like a little bit of a ploy and like you like kind of like amping it up a little bit, the idea of this like feminist culture, and you don't actually believe that this is what's going to make you happy and fulfilled in a relationship with a man, like because it's not. So I'd like to hope that this podcast is at least some way to bridge the gap a little between like the hardcore Andrew Tate people and like the hardcore like whoever like the biggest like feminist podcast person is. It's not my demo, so like I don't, you know, whatever. But I'd like to think we could bridge the gap a little and make everybody a little happy. And it's not about ego. It's for the betterment of what I feel will sustain a long-term healthy relationship between a male and a female. I would like to bring some peace, man. All that I'm saying, Zoran, is give peace a chance. Okay? That's it. I'm a big John Lennon fan. And anyway, there's John. There's John, our producer, who's 30 minutes late for the episode. Can we turn a camera on him and embarrass the shit out of him right now? Turn the camera. There's John. There he is. 30 minutes late. He's my producer. He's supposed to go over all the notes with me before. Now he can't get in. Look, Zoran's got to have to... Look, there we go. There we go. We got John. Sorry, John. I had to call you out on camera for this. There you go. Perfect. Welcome, John Vogel. Anyway, so being friends with exes. So like I said before, like the alpha, which is what I consider myself to be, the alpha point of view and perspective should definitely be, she's got to be happy with me, bro. And she's got to get everything she wants from me, bro. And if she even needs 1 tiny % of emotional support or connection with another guy in this life, then she's a fucking, let her be with him, bro. Let her fucking be with him. Like, that's what I think, that's what alphas try to express and try to make as like the dominant. But here's what I've learned in all my dating experiences. Like I said previously, you come into, like, I was recently dating a girl, and I came into her life. She's 26. I came into her life after 26 years of her living it. And like I said, like, it was so nice to catch up with my ex of 8 years, just to have a 20-minute text chat and like catch up and just see where we're at, and okay, cool. It's not bad blood anymore. We're okay. Like, this is nice. And then you can kind of look back and be like, wow, look at how much time we spent together and how many memories we had. We went all over the world together. Like that's a beautiful thing. And to be able to keep that relationship in a nice place, it's only honoring your past life. Like, it's not. So, for example, I'll tell you what happened. So this girl that I said I recently started talking to, she had like a 5-year relationship, and like, you know, it was like a toxic on and off thing, but the guy obviously meant a great deal to her, and you know, they were each other's first love and all that stuff. And she straight up told me, she's like, we still talk all the time, like we text, like I would never go back there romantically, like been there, done that, like, you know, there'll always be love there that I have, there'll always be love that he has, but like I just would never, like, I've been there, I know what it is, and it's not what I want for my life. It's funny because up until, even if my almost fiance said the same thing to me, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm in your life now. Like I'm your man. Like this is what it's about. You think you're being like tough and dominant, but that is controlling. Like, and not only is it controlling towards her, you're actually going to somehow make her want to like pull away from you a little bit, even if she's doing it subconsciously, because you're stripping her of the opportunity to honor the life in some small degree that took place before you got there. Like, we live long lives and we have many different phases of them and many different experiences. So like how I always said, like when I'm starting to see someone, I'm very upfront about like, I was a piece of shit in the past and I've done this and that. And like, maybe not to like, the thing I made a mistake with probably with my ex, I don't know, a mistake, but the thing I probably would have handled a little differently was that I came up front with it like too quickly. Like I was like, I was this cheating piece of shit for 8 years and yeah. And so where's your family from? Like you can ease into that a little more. Like, so the last girl, so the girl I was seeing recently, like I didn't do that. I just kind of like let it like kind of just like brew and like develop naturally without this like hard stance and like declaration of my fuck ups, which like she doesn't really have. But I think the reason why I was so declarative about it was it was coming off the heels of my 8-year relationship. And I think I was like trying kind of overcorrecting for my mistakes in the past. So I think that happens a lot, right? I think like we go into one relationship, we make a bunch of mistakes, and then like we almost like overcorrect those mistakes for the next one. And then we realize maybe the next one that, oh, we don't have to overcorrect so much. We can just be normal. And like, so I think a lot of, you know, I made a lot of mistakes in my 8-year relationship, and then met my almost fiance and kind of came at her like, I'm a changed man and like this will never happen again. And like, you know, it was just like too forceful or too like polarizing at the beginning of a relationship. So I don't regret in any way being that upfront and honest. I think honesty, like openness is like fucking key, man. Like, especially when it comes to like longevity, like long-term success in a relationship, I don't feel can happen without it. But I think there is a way to do it and a way not to do it. And I probably was like walking that line pretty, you know, in a fragile way. So she told me, she was like, yeah, my ex and I still talk. Like it would never go back there again. And then I said, okay, I'm like, and she's like, and I'm being open with you about it. And I'm telling you, like, if there's anything to hide, I obviously wouldn't. Like, I tell him about you and I tell him about all the fun things you take me to and whatever. And he tells me about the girl he hooks up with. And we just were like really good friends. Like we became best friends and then we started dating. And so like after a couple years when things kind of settled down emotionally, you know, I realized like I want to have him in my life to some degree. And like, honestly, like I really want him to like get a serious girlfriend because then it could be this thing where it's like balanced, more balanced. Like we could even all like hang out together and like whatever. And I was like, and it's so funny because up until her, literally her, I would have been like, absolutely not. Makes me feel uncomfortable. And the thing I've realized is I'm not like falling down or like I always talk about like setting your boundaries and not like and not being okay with anything you're not okay with and vocalizing that you're not okay with the things you're not okay with. And the most important part of an entire relationship is literally expressing to your partner that is not okay with me. This was because she was open about it. I was open about all my shit from my past. And I just said to her, I said, look, I'm just getting to know you and I'm just going to say this one time and one time only. And I'm not going to be controlling and I don't compete with other guys. I don't do that. If you have any slight interest romantically in somebody else, please be with them. I will be hurt and I will leave and it'll be painful, but I will get over it, and I know what I'm worth, and I know what I expect, and I know what I want. We talked openly about it, and I said all I'm going to say about this situation, I'm probably never going to bring it up again, is that I make it very clear, and I'm very honest about what I expect. Just don't do anything that you know, because you're a smart girl, because I would never get involved with somebody who's not very emotionally intelligent anymore. You're a smart girl. You know where the line is for me and for you and whatever we have or what we're building. Don't cross it. That's it. Just don't cross it. And that is so much more effective than, I don't want you talking to him. First of all, anytime you tell that to a girl, I don't want you talking to him, it's the same desperation that comes out of like, be my girlfriend. Please, we've been talking for 2 weeks and you're so pretty. Be my girlfriend. It's the same neediness and desperation. A girl I was talking about this to her recently. When you're starting to talk to a girl and you're starting to get like romantically involved or whatever it is and there's feelings, or you're hooking up or anything like that where it starts getting a little intense, a girl should go to a bar with 100 guys there and be thinking about you. And she should say, oh man, I wish Eric was here right now. And if she's not doing that, there's nothing you can do on your end, including reprimanding her or trying to control who she talks to, that could do that. And then the more controlling you are, the more she's going to get pushed away anyway. So it's like I said, like, you shouldn't be controlling another person. You should just state, this is what I expect. These are my feelings. These are my wants, desires, and needs. And you're either going to adhere to them or you're not. And that's a way, way better way to approach a romantic situation than any type of, this is what I want you to do, and you're not doing that. And I'm like, first of all, it's like being a strict parent. It's like every parent who's like, my kid is not having sex until marriage. It's like you literally just sent them off to suck a dick. You might as well have like paid for the Uber. She is sneaking out in the middle of the night to suck a dick now. Like, it's not gonna work. Like, and that's what I'm saying. And it's also just not like being emotionally intelligent as a guy. And by the way, there are situations where they shouldn't be talking. Like, if it's a person who like they like hooked up with a few nights or something like that, or like for a week or 2 weeks or something that was like clearly more about like the physical nature of the relationship or something like that, that wasn't really like a deep, meaningful relationship, but was more like, you know, more just like kind of like a fling or like based on sexual attraction. Because I've been the other guy in so many situations now. I know the difference. And I like that I've been the other guy in so many situations. I like that I've been the guy who has talked to, made out with, hooked up with, had sex with, had flings with girls in relationships, engaged, married. I mean, from a moral standpoint, it was a shitty thing to do. But from a knowledge standpoint, I've learned so much about how romantic relationships, you know, operate and how and the dynamics between men and women. And like, now if I talk to those two guys that I had to cut off that were friends with, who were like, we're big alpha bros, like those two dudes like who were friends my whole life, like my two best friends, and they're just like, again, I reassessed where I am currently and where they are currently, and it doesn't fit the way it used to, so I had to cut it off, and part of that hurts me, and I'll always be there for them and show up to important events for them and go to, you know, funerals for them and stuff like that, but like, they can't actively be in my life every day. Those two guys, if I told them this situation, they'd be like, you're getting played, you're being a pussy. I'm like, no, because I trusted the person that I was involved with. So without trust, there's nothing in a relationship. I do believe. And I'm not saying that trust can't be like rattled a little and then repaired. It can. But ultimately, trust is the only thing that's going to make a relationship thrive long term. At the end of the day, it is all about trust. So you either trust the person or you don't. And obviously, there's like gradations and variables and whatever, but like, I would never get involved. The reason why I didn't feel threatened by this person having a like friendship with their ex was because it's the same person that I trusted enough to get involved with to begin with. I think you just assess every situation. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I'm not changing you. You respect me. That respect gets compromised in any way. Na 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 na. Hey hey, goodbye. I'm gonna fuck your sister. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, guys saying, I'll put it this way. This will actually sum it up. I'm glad you prompted that for me, Johnny. Guys saying in a point blank, black and white way that if women are continuing friendships with their exes, it means that they want to be with them, or they're just playing the long game with them, or whatever, makes it obvious that you do not understand how women operate emotionally. Women are programmed to care and feel and be nurturing, even to guys that they have no romantic interest in at all. Like this girl I was talking to, who I still might be, she told me, she's like, I would go out with my friend who was single when I was single, and my friend would see like the hottest guy at the bar, and she'd be like, I'm talking to that guy. And she said she'd be like, okay, and the guy would be with like a guy who was like some dude who was like fat, bald, and like 5'3", and she'd be like, I'm gonna talk to that guy the whole time, like, because I bet you he's interesting. And she would just have like an hour conversation about like history, like with the guy. And she'd be like, oh my God, like this guy, like we stayed friends. And like she had zero interest in hooking up with him. Legitimately zero interest. Now, would he have fucked her in 2 seconds? And is he probably is there always something in the back of his mind where he's like, oh my God, I want to marry this girl, like whatever? Of course. Just like I told the girl I was talking to, I go, you know that your ex is probably playing the long game here and trying to like, this is the point I wanted to make. I told her straight up, I go, you talk to him all you want. I just want you to understand from a guy's perspective, this guy still wants to be with you and probably thinks that at some time down the road, you guys are ending up in marriage. You guys are ending up together for the rest of your lives. And she goes, you know what? Maybe. She goes, but he knows, I've made it very clear that if he ever crosses that line and even tries to imply that him and I should hang out in like a romantic way, or like, or go on a date or anything like that, or, hook up, that's it. The friendship is off the table, because my terms are friendship is friendship. And that's it. There is no, like we've been there before. Now it's just, okay, let's save this part that we really valued, which was like the talking about music and the laughing and the hanging out, which I have no issue with. And that was another indicator to me that was like, she knows what's going on. Like, she basically says, it's irrelevant how he feels about the situation because I know where I stand. And I've made it clear to him that we're not going back there. So these are the new terms of the agreement. And if you can't adhere to them, then unfortunately the friendship is over. So right there is like, yeah, she gets it. Men oftentimes just don't understand that so she would like go to a bar and talk to this guy who was like clearly like not physically desirable to her at all. But she just like knew he was going to be interesting, just like had it, and ended up being really interesting. And then they would like, they wouldn't hang out like one-on-one, but they had like mutual friends and stuff. So when they were in groups, she would talk to him for 2 hours at a bar and just like hang out. And then they would go, and then she would leave or whatever. That's why women value the connection so much. Like the emotional, like I've talked about many times, how men, even though they value it, oftentimes their judgment of the personality or the connection gets clouded by the physical desire. Like, you hear this all the time, guys being like, oh my God, like, guys like fall in love with like strippers who are like huge, like cokeheads, like who like live halfway around the country. And like, I'm not saying those women don't deserve love, but like, it'll just be a guy that's like it just won't be a match. Like, you'll know the guy, you'll know the girl, or maybe you don't know the girl, but you understand sort of like what she's about. And it just won't be a match, but he's so in love. He loves the way her titties jingle. And like, he like that was like, oh my God, I think I'm in love with her. We hear it all the time. We said it before. Like, you hook up with a girl one time, you're like, I think I'm in love with her. It's like, and we've all fallen for this. Your physical desire is so much at the forefront of the attraction that that a lot of the times the deeper, more meaningful stuff falls by the wayside, and that's how fucking much of a dick the dick is. Like the dick is such a fucking dick, dude. Like it really fucks you up, and it really has a mind of its own. So what? Dick yeah. But like, so I think that's sort of like women don't have a dick, and well, I shouldn't say that. Women, that's how you have to do this now. Women who were born women and stayed women don't have a dick, so they aren't clouded the way we are. They can see you hear it all the time, like a woman likes like that guy's so hot, and then like they have a 2-second conversation with him, like the most boring person I've ever met. I don't want to have sex with them at all. Like women say that all the time, where it takes men a lot more to not have sex. Like she really has to fuck it up if she's an attractive woman. So like on average, again, everything's on average. So I do believe like because women value that so much more, it's so much harder for them to detach emotionally on an emotional level. Like on just a level of like, this was a connection that was very meaningful to me at the time. We had all these memories together. So to not understand that about women, like, you know, easily puts you in a position where you're making really bad, desperate, and needy moves, like trying to control who she's texting with. It's never going to work, and it's never going to bring her closer to you. We do not live in a culture anymore where you know, I guess like some parts of the world do, but here in Western civilization, we do not live in a world anymore where we could control who the woman talk. Like, listen, would it be nice to be in a world where we're allowed to behead women for their transgressions? Sure. You know, sure, in an ideal world. But that's not the case. So we just have to, in Western civilization, understand that like women are allowed to talk to whoever they want, given free will or whatever. And in order for a relationship to sustain itself, it has to be based on openness, honesty, and trust. And honestly, like, when you're being so controlling and you think you're being this attractive, dominant man, Andrew Tate, you fucking loser, but you're not. You're just like I'm a man and I make the money. So it's like, who gives a fuck if you make the money, bro? Like, that's not what's gonna make it or sustain a healthy relationship. So don't try to like control who people talk to. And like again, this is a very specific situation in a very specific person's life under a very specific set of circumstances. There are many scenarios where I think this shouldn't fly. But as long as you're being honest with yourself, the other person, and really honestly assessing what is going on, when guys tell you, don't let her talk to her ex, that says you're a fucking cuck, man. You're going to be a cuck and you're going to be a beta. It's like those are all guys who are just so scared of being a cuck and a beta that they're projecting to you. And then in turn, you're going, yeah, you know, testosterone, you know, hypes up testosterone, right? A lot of testosterone in the room. It's like, oh, you know, it's like, it's all that shit. So it's like them hyping you up. Then you get mad at your girl for fucking doing something that you actually in your you know, instinctually thought was fine and felt comfortable with, but they're making you feel like you shouldn't. It's the same reason you don't go to friends. It's like when my almost fiance and I broke up, she went to all her friends immediately. And I was like, that is a rookie move right there, amateur. Because you're literally now you're giving everybody in your life control over your relationship, because now if you try to want to work on it, they have all these opinions and passions, and they saw you hurt, and they feel like emotionally attached to the situation, so they're going to have strongly worded opinions, and you're taking the power outside of you and the other person's relationship, and you're giving it to all these other spectators. And so it's kind of the same thing. Like, I think I said in one of the last episodes, I don't really ask my friends for advice anymore with women, because I just close my eyes and listen to whatever I think is the right thing. And in this case, I thought that was the right thing. So there's no like blanket, don't ever talk to your ex statement. Like, every situation is different. Just assess it honestly. That's it. And is there anything else? Is there a little movie I could bring up here? Because Zoran told me it's very important for him. Oh, okay, wait. I remember a specific Friends reference, which I don't know. Everybody's seen Friends pretty much, right? So Ross and Rachel, on and off again. very, very like emotionally charged relationship, right? They were on a break. Did he cheat? Did he not? Whatever. They got back together, broke up again. At Emily and Ross's wedding, instead of I take the Emily, he said I take the Rachel, which was a huge moment in the show, and Rachel was there. It was actually a really funny line. She goes, should I go up there? Which I thought was so funny. I laughed so hard at it. And then Emily didn't want Ross to be friends with Rachel anymore, which, by the way, totally valid, right? I mean, like, he's clearly still in love with Rachel. He wants to be with her so much to the point that he actually said her name, which is completely embarrassing and, like, humiliating to the bride. That situation is a situation where it's like, yeah, if I were in that situation, first of all, obviously, I wouldn't have gone through with the marriage. That would have been done. But again, remember I used to say in previous episodes, like, if a guy gets cheated on, it's kind of his fault because women are not that good at hiding their emotions. So all you have to do is just open your eyes, open your ears, pay a little bit of attention, and you will pick up on everything women are throwing at you. Like I said, I was involved with so many engaged women, or not as many married women, but a bunch of engaged women who, like, I was thinking on the other end, I'm like, this guy is such a cuck because there's no way this woman isn't being distant to him. Even I, as a man, when I've cheated in the past, I'm better at compartmentalizing and being like, that was nothing, and going back to my, whoever I was with. There's no way women are doing that effectively. If you're missing it, you're choosing to miss it, or you're not listening or paying attention. Like, you're just making shit up in your own head. This guy, she was engaged. This girl I was once talking to, and this guy was like wedding planning and stuff, and she was literally like making plans with me. And I was like, this guy's not at all sensing when he's with this girl that she's like, her mind is elsewhere. Like, it's just like you're not paying attention. If that situation happened where like I was at the altar and I was Emily and my soon-to-be wife said another guy's name, if I went like, oh no, like if I was embarrassed for a while, I like got pissed at her, but then eventually was just like, oh, it's okay. You could like stay with him. You guys are in the same friend crew, so you could all like still hang out and stuff. That would be me like bending over and taking it in the ass. Like, that's different. That would be me like again, like sort of just adhering to some or agreeing to something that I feel extremely uncomfortable with because I don't want to lose the girl. And that is an absolute must. That is an absolute do not. That is an absolute no-no. But again, like that's a specific situation. That's why you have to assess everything. So to just say like, obviously with the Rachel, Emily Ross situation, 100% valid. And she had every right to say like, hey, if you're going to hang out with this girl, first of all, I don't think she should have actually went through the marriage in any way because it's like he's clearly like emotionally like in love with someone else. But if she did go through with the marriage and she set that boundary of like, don't ever see Rachel again, I don't care, she's not allowed to hang out with you and your friends when you're hanging out, that would be warranted because there is really something to worry about. But again, like if I was a guy in that situation, the relationship would be over anyway because I'm not going to live my life in a way where I have to be worried about a woman. Like, I want to be able to like go away for a few days and like know that she's like has my best interest and she's completely faithful and loyal and trust, and I can trust her. So, but I'm just saying, like, I was just trying to an example of like how everything's its own specific situation. Anyway, I think we covered what we needed to cover here. Thank you so much for joining us in Times Square on this rainy Wednesday. Knicks, Pacers, Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1 tonight. I will be there at Madison Square Garden, a few blocks away from where we're sitting right now. Very excited. Keep your self-respect, fellas. But don't be fucking dicks. Thank you to Kyle, my editor, Zoran, my DP, John, my producer, Ronaldo at the studio, Ali, who's in Paris, who's the studio manager. Thank you to everybody. I'm Eric Newman. Bye.